Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. Have a seat. Ruben, Willem, Josh. It's so awesome to see you guys so socially successful. Right now, you need to have a seat so you can be academically successful. Willem, yeah, I'm talking to you. Yes, Willem, have a seat. Yeah, Daniel, hello, have a seat. All right. Still waiting. Thank you, Matt. All right. So, big pair share. You guys are going to have 1 minute to do this. When you've done research before, this could be a research project you did in junior high school. It could be something you did last year with Mr. Cup. Anything you've done during high school. When you've done research before, how did you keep track of information that you found? Again, think about what you've done in the past. Did that system, if you had one, work well for you? You know, what was it? In what ways did it work well for you? In what ways did you find it kind of lacking? Okay? So think about that. Think back to that project. Then when you're ready to share it out with your partner, please go ahead and do that. We are going to be asking you about what you heard and what you said in 90 seconds. Are there any questions about that? Fantastic. Go. Mrs. Adler, let's hear from some of the folks in your particular classroom.
Oh, I have everyone here.
Outstanding! Even better.
Emily Cardenas.
Yeah. So what my partner and I discussed was that last year in Mr. Cup's class, I added small notes in a Google document, and then I posted the link or the source that I found that underneath it, like kind of points that were like relevant information that I found. I thought that would like help support my claim or like help expand the audience's point of view.
Okay, awesome. Let's see. I'll pull it. Judith.
Yeah, Judith.
Ways that usually when we do research, or like the research that I've done, the teacher provides like a document where to put all the links we use, and I usually use that.
Okay. And when you did that, when you put in the links that you used, how did you organize it? Or did you just like look at that set of links and you kind of thought to yourself, oh, I know this relates to this part of my project, I know this relates to this part of my project. What was your organization?
Well, I would I guess I didn't really have an organization. I just kind of put the links. Because usually we didn't like, when I was writing the essay, I would put in parentheses like the title, and then I put like the sources and like the works cited at the end, so I didn't really have to like go back. And does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I would do it as I wrote.
So I'm going to ask, thank you for that, by the way. I'm going to ask another question for you guys, and it's not going to be something that we're going to pull popsicle sticks on. Why do you guys need to not just create a list, but to organize that list for a project? Why is that useful? Why do you feel like you need to do that? Hannah?
I think because we're going to be doing so much information that if you just like write it down, it can get really overwhelming to sift through it when we're then thinking, okay, what can I use in my paper? And so I think you need a way for your brain not to freak out when it sees like all that information you collected.
So a way to categorize it, to organize it, because you're dealing with such, not just large amounts of information, but lots of sources. You need to organize, you need some kind of a system to like categorize, right? Lala, what were you going to say?
Building off of what Hannah said, it'd be also easier for you to write your bibliography at the end.
Okay, it'll be easier for you to create like a bibliography or a works cited list because you've already organized those sources. Sure, that's another really good reason. So, like keeping your sanity and being efficient with your time. Like not spending most of your time trying to find your sources and their meaning as opposed to like writing the paper, right? You know, which is the quality of time. And organizing your list so you can create a list at the end for bibliography or a source, a works cited list. What's another reason why it's important to organize this work? Another reason why it's important to organize this work and to keep track of it. Emily.
Maybe to like get like errors like chronologically in order. So like let's say that your question or your research question is kind of like investigating over a long span of time. You want to keep it organized and so that like you don't have the 1940s and the 1950s like section of the paper, so that you don't get confused when you're like trying to rearrange your argument or well your essay when you're trying to organize, because like however you're going to structure your essay, it's going to be how you take your notes.
Also, keeping track of that evidence is a way for you to be able to prevent the possibility of plagiarism, right? So you know the difference between the work that you did, you know, the writing that you're doing, and the work of another author who is supporting your answer to the question, correct? So that's pretty important, right? I mean, those are all useful things. Being time efficient, staying organized, and avoiding, and making sure that there's a distinction between your writing and your work, and an author's writing and their work, right? Yes?
I have a question about when we're citing on this research paper.
Well, that's a really good question. We will definitely get to that. Okay, that's a really important question. It's what we like to call down the weeds. It's the details. We're kind of up here, right? Good question. All right, so the objective today, there are really just two objectives. One is to record relevant information from the valid source. And it sounds like based on the responses that we've gotten so far and what I listened to in your conversations, a lot of you guys have a way to do that. You know, you have a system of recording information, whether it's a Google Doc or another way of doing it. To create and maintain a system to track sources, maybe that's a place that those of you who do have a system, you can take a look at a couple of models of systems that might even work better, or something you can add to your existing system. We're going to give you guys some very, very distinct choices on how to do that, and have you guys just make your own best decision on how to best organize your sources. Okay? Questions on the objectives? Okay. Only one cog skill that we're working on today. Okay? And what it is representing your evidence and integrating it smoothly and strategically. You will not be able to do that in your paper if you cannot first organize that information in a way that you understand and can categorize yourself. So this is definitely a skill that we will be assessing you on for this project. Okay? So, you're going to have 3 different choices. Okay? I'm going to detail those really quickly, and then we're going to be off to the races. Okay? The first choice, if you wish, is to learn how to create physical source cards. Source cards that don't have to, they don't depend on a data backup. They don't depend on you having your phone or you having your computer. No matter what happens, if you don't have internet access, you will have a system by which you can organize your evidence and your analysis into a paper. If you prefer to do it that way and to organize it that way, I will teach you how to do that. Okay, that's one choice in terms of how to organize your sources. Okay, the next choice you've got, and I believe Mrs. Adler will be teaching that particular workshop, is how to create a digital version of this. If you tend to work better, if you prefer, if you find yourself more creative, more efficient doing source cards in a digital world, Mrs. Adler will teach you how to do that. Okay, and that'll be another group. The third group will be people who feel confident that they have a system that does this. It maintains a system to track sources successfully, efficiently, and clearly, and you've already done it. Like, I have a system that works for me. That's just going to be a matter of getting with that particular group of people who already have their own systems and checking in with Mr. Ariston to make sure that system is going to best support you. Okay? Questions on these three choices before we figure out where we're going to be going? Yes?
Is the digital source the one that was on the PLP yesterday?
Is the same?
Is the digital source the one that was on the PLP yesterday that was in the steps?
Yeah, there's a step called sources, or source cards, I believe. Source cards that's in the PLP. So when you create that resource, that organization system, that will be basically what we check off there. Good question. Yes?
What happens if you think you have a good one, but you don't know if it's a good organized?
Then you will show it to Mr. Harrison. You guys will have a one-to-one. He'll give you some feedback on that. And
like,
you might. Yeah, it might turn out, oh, well, you know, this is my system. Okay, this isn't working too well. I work better actually using the computer. No, I work better actually using physical media. And then you can definitely go into another group. Okay, Sage?
It's actually
Okay. And in that case, let's see. I'm sorry, second.
Can we get a poll of who wants to go where so we can figure out?
That's the next thing I was going to do.
Yeah.
Those of you who would like to do physical source cards, learn how to do that, go ahead and raise your hand. Looks like 12, maybe 13, 14. Yeah. Okay. So those of you who are going to do physical source cards, you guys are going to go ahead and come into this room. Okay? Hands for people who would like to do digital source cards. People who would like to learn how to do digital source cards. Zadler, if you do a count in there, we'll add it to this one. 5. That group, go ahead and head right over to where Mrs. Adler is standing right now. Okay? Those of you who have your own system, and you know, this works for me, why don't you go ahead and gather here like about the center of the room. Mr. Arisman will check in with you one-to-one.